and I am your parent empowerment and child safety advocate. I help parents and caregivers of neurodivergent children by providing emotional support and practical tools without burning out, while they guide their children toward meaningful friendships where they are truly celebrated for who they are and not just tolerated, all while helping to protect their children against bullying. Tonight, I am going to just talk to you and read a little bit from my book, Help Support for Parents of Children with Learning and Thinking Differences to Feel Confident, Capable, and Fulfilled. So, first, I want to tell you how help came about. Help is based on the first 25 years of my son Chris's life. Chris is now 28, and in Help, I describe our journey. We take chapter by chapter, and I tell a story about something we went through. And this book is written from a parent perspective, but as an educator, I did a literature review, and there are over 100 references in this book. This book is designed to be a guide, a support for parents and caregivers as they navigate life and the journey with their child. The reason why I wrote this book is because I thought it was really important to let people know that they don't have to be alone on their journey. They don't have to navigate this by themselves. I've been there. I've gone through it already. So if you feel yourself alone, you don't need to be. First, pick up the book, read the book, and you'll find stories, and you'll also find resources. Again, there are over 100 resources in this book. Also, if there was a term that I thought parents may or may not know or may need a little more understanding, I defined it as I went along. But what I did is in the back of the book, I took all of the terms that I defined and I made a glossary. And you can go to my website, casenllc.com. That's CASENLLC.com, and go to library resources, and you can find the glossary and you can print it out. The reason why I say this is if you go to an IEP meeting or with your child or for your child rather, and they say something and you're not really quite sure what it is, you can look it up. And it's almost like having someone sitting right next to you because it's your guide, it's your resource, it's a tool without having someone there. So I encourage you, if you, no matter where you are on the journey, and what I'm going to do, I am going to periodically talk and then periodically go to the book. But what I'm going to do right now is read to you the chapters of the book. So here's the book. It's Help Support for Parents of Children with Learning and Thinking Differences to Feel Confident, Capable, and Fulfilled. The titles of the chapters are Developmental Milestones, which goes over communication milestones, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, cognitive development, and behavioral development. Then we have early intervention, and we have the individualized education program, which covers what an IEP is your child eligible for special education, who can request an education evaluation, who's on the evaluation team, what to expect from the school evaluation process, what's included in the IEP, who gets an IEP, and how to navigate IEP meetings. If Okay, and before I go there, and to stay on top of your child's IEP, myths about an IEP, how to respond to a school's denial of services, steps to take if a school denies your child services, and what is the difference between an IEP and a 504 plan. What is a 504 plan? The reason why this is important um, to me to educate and pull out the pieces when we navigated the IEPs, which is the Individualized Education Plan or program for our son, we didn't have any support. We didn't have any tools. Even though Chris and I are both readers, even though we both have had a level of education, all the things, it didn't matter because we were still intimidated by the process. We still didn't have the support we felt we needed. Um, and it was tough. It was difficult. And I often say that it was challenging even having a husband to navigate the space with. But imagine what I couldn't imagine. I'm going to put this other earpiece in. I couldn't imagine what it would have been like by myself. And so many people navigate this space by themselves. And, I just say if it felt overwhelming for me at times, I don't know how other people feel. So I compiled this book so people didn't have to feel alone in their journey. And I stated some of the things that we went through because to make it relatable and then define everything. So some of the other chapters are a pediatrician versus a developmental pediatrician. A regular pediatrician is a medical doctor that takes care of your child when they're sick or uh, takes care of their overall health and wellness. They will do physical exams, they will give the child immunizations, and they take care of the basic well-being of your child. Whereas a developmental pediatrician is a pediatrician who went back to school and they learn what the developmental milestones are, what a child should be doing at what age, and how they should be performing. So, if you suspect your child may be delayed, or if you were told your child was delayed, but they haven't been seen by a developmental pediatrician, I highly recommend that you have your child evaluated by a developmental pediatrician just to make sure that you are aware of everything that's going on. And the developmental pediatrician, in our case, helped us determine what the least restrictive environment was for Chris. And we found that to be the general education classroom. So, based on his um, evaluation and what we were thinking as parents, we pulled Chris from the special education classroom and put him in regular ed. But then what was appropriate was he was pulled out and sent to the resource room for the classes that he struggled with. And, he didn't need help as much with everything, but the things that he really needed more help with, he received the help. Then we have social cues. What are social cues? How to understand social skill issues and social skills groups. This was important because Chris struggled socially and emotionally. Um, w- and it was a thing for us. So I felt it was important to write about that journey and what we did and what other people did or recommended for that. Coping with anxiety. Seek professional help, professionals who can help with mental health issues. So that I list the different types of programs out there that you can get help from. Treating coexisting conditions. A lot of times when a child is neurodivergent or they're dealing with these issues, they have coexisting um, conditions that they have to navigate. So what may be used to treat one may be a trigger for another. So it's important to have the right diagnosis. It's important to have the right doctors communicating with one another so you can make sure that all the meds are working together and not fighting against each other. Sibling issues. That's a chapter in the book. A lot of times when you're taking care of a neurodivergent child, and neurodivergent just refers to the way an individual's brain behaves, believes, or processes information than what is considered normal or neurotypical. And we have sibling issues. And the reason why I thought that was important to put in, excuse me, when you are dealing with a neurodivergent child, first, it can be more emotionally draining, requiring more bandwidth, emotional bandwidth. Um, and they can require a lot more of your time and attention. So if you have other children, there may be some jealousy, there may be some attention getting from the other child. And I put that in there, what we dealt with siblings. And I tried to make sure that I gave Kyra her time and space that she needed. And sometimes I'm sure I got it right, and other times I'm sure I didn't. But I wrote about our journey with that. Um, Bullying, recognizing the signs of cyberbullying and how you can help when your child is being cyberbullied. That's in there. Then I have parent support, and it's basically talking about the support that my husband and I had to give. And trust me, when you are giving of yourself, whether it's for good reasons or not, um, if you are doing that with, navigating that, then you're going to get tired. You're going to have moments where you feel like you're close to burning out, or you may burn out, or, frustration. So it's important for parents to support one another, for parents to support their child. But I'm going to tell you to get what you need for yourself. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. Make sure you're providing yourself with some self-care, male and female, because when you are the best version of you, then you can help those around you that you love, and you show up as a better version of you. And guess what? When you're parenting and you're co-parenting, you're not going to always be on the same page. You're not going to always be in agreement. You're not going to always have it all together. What do you do on the moments or the days when you don't? You can get some tips from me, because it's important to advocate for yourself. Self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. You need to take care of yourself so you don't burn out, so you don't have a heart attack, and you just need to take care of yourself. Then we have life after high school. So we went all the way through school in this book, and then what happened next? He went to high school. I mean, he went to college, and he didn't finish because he stopped during the pandemic, because he didn't trust that he would be committed and everything. So he has a little more time. But we encourage you to read the book, especially if your child is younger, to provide you with hope, something to look forward to. Bringing CASEN to life. CASEN is our business collaborative advancement for social and emotional needs. So bringing it to life, what was our journey like? What was that process like when I'm telling my story, but it's not just my story, it's my son's story and the story of my family. So just because I was okay with it didn't mean he was automatically going to be okay with it. And I wanted to write in such a way that I honored him and didn't take from him or make him look worse or than he is or bad or whatever, right? So life as with CASEN, basically, collaborative advancement for social and emotional needs, because it matters. It matters to protect your children and to keep your children safe online. A lot of harmful things are happening to our children when they're not prepared. So it's better to have your child prepared with the right tools and systems in place than to try to go back and be retroactive with something or with social media. We rather be proactive than retroactive. And then what makes CASEN unique? CASEN is an um, invitation only platform. This is Case and Connect. It's an invitation only platform, and it teaches children what to look out for. It teaches them how to identify bullying, if they are being bullied, if they are witnessing bullying, or if they're in fact the bully. And we really want to teach children about their digital footprint, that it's like footprints in the sand. If you were walking in the sand, everywhere your foot would go, it would leave a mark or an impression. And the same thing happens online. Every time you post, every time you like something, every time you just comment, it's leaving a digital footprint. So, what kind of footprint do you want your child to have? That's important because you have to teach them. You have to teach them that. And right now, I'm going to take a few moments and I'm going to read a portion of the book so you can see the flow and how it's designed to go. Um, Individual Education Program, or the Individual Education Plan, or the IEP. Chris went to a preschool that was run by the United Cerebral Palsy Association. It was a great preschool because they served children with all types of physical, mental, and emotional needs and integrated these students with typically developing children. We liked it because Chris was able to receive all of his services and therapies at preschool, and the therapist no longer needed to come to our home to work with Chris. We also liked the preschool because Chris was not made to feel different or less than his peers due to his challenges and differences. The teachers were kind and patient with him because they knew how to work with Chris and his deficits. Finally, we appreciated the fact that Chris was in an environment with typically developing children who were able to do some things that he was not yet doing. We felt that this could inspire Chris to do some of those same things. When our daughter Kyra, just shy of 2 years younger than Chris, was born, she was very advanced. Kyra said her first words at 4 months, and she spoke in complete, simple sentences at 11 months. When it was time to send her to preschool, she attended the same preschool as Chris. We wanted her to be there for children like the typically developing children were there for Chris. We felt like it would have been hypocritical of us if we had not done this. Kyra was a true asset for her class. We believe this experience helped teach Kyra compassion and empathy. Now, Kyra is a strong advocate for people with special needs and social differences. After preschool, Chris was no longer eligible for early intervention. Because of his age, we prepared for his next phase of education as intervention services. We met with our school district and their special education team so Chris could receive an individualized education program or IEP for kindergarten. I remember being overwhelmed by this process. During our first IEP meeting, Chris Sr. was away for work. I was alone at the table in the administration building filled with people from the district. The people in attendance included the case manager, the superintendent of special education, a general education teacher, a special education teacher, and the school psychologist. I was outnumbered and overwhelmed. In the beginning, we did not find the IEP user-friendly. We asked a lot of questions to gain an understanding of the IEP and the IEP process. I remember how grateful I was to go through the process of securing an IEP with Chris Sr. I can only imagine how much more challenging the process would have been if I was navigating it alone. It was already challenging enough to accept the fact that life is not perfect, and it presented my child with unforeseen challenges. Now, I needed to understand a document that read like a foreign language. And then I go into what is an IEP. So I described it because when I was going through it, it wasn't very user friendly, and I broke it down in a way that I felt would be more helpful to parents. So it's very important. And then, is your child even eligible for special education? Here, I wrote some things for you to consider, to see, and questions to ask if they are eligible. Who can request the education evaluation? Remember, you have rights. You can do it. If you suspect something, you can have your child evaluated and not just wait on the school. But sometimes we are in denial and we think our children are fine when they need some help. And sometimes pride can get in the way and prevent you from reaching out and getting the help that your child needs. So we don't want you to be prideful and thinking that you can do it by yourself or that nothing's wrong and you're not going to get them tested. I always say it's better to have them tested and everything is fine and they tell you you don't need services than for you to ignore the testing because you think everything's fine. Then 5, 6 years down the road, they need more services to undo what they learned and then to rebuild them the right way on what to learn. So I suggest that everyone, if any party suggests that um, the child needs services, I will get them tested. Now, I say that loosely. I said anyone. But if you think that you're not trusting the school because you're uncomfortable, you think they're just out for the money, you do have the right to get a third party to evaluate your child that doesn't work for the school district. But I really hope that if someone raised a red flag or if you witnessed something that they were dealing with, I ask you, please have your child evaluated so you can get the services sooner rather than later. And sometimes they can self-correct if it's done soon enough. And then by the time they go to kindergarten, they may not even need services anymore because they did the work already. So I read what was in that chapter to you already, so I'm not going to read it again. But I break down who's at the table, who's allowed to be there. Are you aware that you can have an advocate with you at the table? Are you aware of that? Some people are, some people aren't. But you are allowed to have support with you. You can hire a special education attorney. I break down the difference between a special education attorney and a special education advocate. Whichever one you you um you like and you deem is right for for you, then by all means go and have it done. Um that is what I have for you tonight. You can find my book on my website, casonllc.com, and you go to Books by Dr. Clark, and you will see this book as well as others. I have currently have 7 books in a workbook, and I am working on books 8 and 9 now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. You do not need to be on this journey by yourself. I am here to support you. I am here to walk with you. And so is my son. We are a team. We stand together. I give it to you from the perspective of a parent, and he can give it to you from the perspective of his lived experiences. Thank you for tuning in. My name again is Dr. Myava Clark, and I am your parent empowerment and child safety advocate. I help parents and caregivers of neurodivergent children by providing emotional support and practical tools without burning out, while they guide their children toward meaningful friendships where they are truly celebrated for who they are and not just tolerated, all while helping to prevent them from being bullied. Thank you. And if you want my free ebook, 5 Secrets to Emotionally Support Your Child Without Burning Out, please go to my website, mothersofexceptionalkids.com, and you will find our free ebook that you can download. Thank you so much and have a good night.